My name is Rachael Kangas, and I work with the Florida Public Archaeology Network in our Southwest region. For the SHA Public Day this year, I want to share with you in just a few minutes why historical archaeology in Southwest Florida is so awesome. So historical archaeology studies the material remains of people in Florida after the year 1513. Now you might be wondering, why 1513? What makes that year special? Well, 1513 is the year that Ponce de Leon became the first European to officially land in North America, and his first trip was around Florida. This began the period of colonization of indigenous lands and indigenous people who had been living here for thousands of years before that. So the only reason we consider this the beginning of historical archaeology in Florida is because the Europeans brought written records with them and documented their activities. All archaeologists study the material remains left behind by people, but historical archaeologists also use written records and sometimes oral history from descendant communities to understand life in the past. Which isn't to say that people here before the European invasion didn't have history. They absolutely did. It's just typically preserved through oral history instead of written records. So because the Europeans were writing down their activities, we consider this the beginning of the historic period. So what kinds of stories can historical archaeology in Southwest Florida tell? Well, we can talk about everything from that first contact in 1513 through the period of colonization in which Europeans, through violence, genocide, and disease, changed the entire human landscape of Florida within about 200 years. Indigenous people are still here today, but the way that people lived in Florida changed drastically after the Europeans arrived. Through historical archaeology, we can also talk about the pioneer era in Florida. We can talk about every major war that the U.S. has been in and every post-war period. Everything up until 1970 is considered historic. So historical archaeology can help tell the big stories that shaped Southwest Florida, stories about the turpentine industry that helped fuel early commerce, the Tamiami Trail, the road which connected Florida to the growing highway system in the United States and forever changed our entire region. It can tell stories of farming, fishing, mining, industry. It can add to all of these stories by helping us understand not just the written records, but also the material remains left behind by people. But historical archaeology, I think even more importantly, can help tell stories of people who aren't in the history books. Historical archaeology doesn't only rely on written records, it also relies on those material clues that are left behind by people. It can help tell stories of convict laborers who were mostly Black men imprisoned by new and predatory laws written after the Civil War in order to keep these people imprisoned and as part of the labor pool. Historical archaeologists, along with descendant communities, can help identify the places where they were forced to live and work. Historical archaeology can tell of the people who actually built the Tamiami Trail, some of whom were also convict laborers, and of the changes that major historical events had on life and cultural pathways of people living in the area, including the Seminole, who still live in South Florida today. Historical archaeology can help us to understand the lives and homes of people who weren't written about in the widely circulated official accounts of historical events. It can tell us about hometown heroes and small families. And this, I think, is why historical archaeology in Southwest Florida is so awesome. Southwest Florida is full of archaeology. There is always something new to learn, new questions to ask, new stories to tell, and historical archaeologists have a unique skill set to help tell these stories. I hope that you will learn more by researching our area online or coming for a visit. Check out fpan.us to learn more about all of our different regions in Florida and where you can go to learn more about archaeology in our area. So with that, thank you so much and stay curious.